Well, welcome to Business Today TV show. COVID virus is all over. We have got isolations going on and we've got government incentives. We chat to a business owner today about how to use those government incentives inside your business, practical advice there, and also about your own personal space as well as building your personal image on Facebook. We're going to be talking marketing, we're going to be talking cash flow, and we're going to be talking team building. Probably a great time to be doing it. We'll have our question of the week for our special guest, and of course we're going to wrap up the show with our famous golf tip from Peter Hopkins out there at Wellback Golf Course.
Welcome to today's show. With all the isolation going on at the moment, everybody is coping in their own individual way. The way I cope at the moment with everything going on is to go and exercise. I would have gone for a run twice a week. We actually go now 4 times a week, and twice a week we go for a walk. And the reason I do that is when I'm out there running, and we're very fortunate in Western Australia that we can still go out and exercise, is that when I get back I feel so refreshed and I have so many ideas. It's all good that social media tells you to sit down with a pen and paper and strategize. You cannot do that if your headspace is not in the right place. So by doing exercises, for me, going out running every day, this helps me to have an open mind and sit down and strategize. And that's why I think our next speaker, Helia Singh, is so important. Her topic on internal hygiene and personal space is so important. Have a listen.
Michael, to me, internal hygiene is we all are surrounded by people that may actually are not the best of people that to be surrounded by. And even though they are our families and friends, but because of their fears, they'll say that, okay, this doesn't work, or no, we cannot become rich, or those rich people are mean, or there will be so many negative things that they say that will stop you from pursuing your dream or following your passion. It's surprising to me that I've heard from many people, and of course those who know me, they know I used to be a seminar junkie, going to every seminar possible to learn, because I just wanted to find what is it that's missing in my life, which finally I found it. But there are people who go to seminars, they don't even tell their friends or family because they are scared. If they tell them, they'll tell them already that, oh, what a waste of time. They all are the same. They're just here only to get your money. You see, that is, I'm talking about the internal hygiene. Or some people, they say, oh, why do you need a coach? You can read a book. Come on, we know that even the great people, even the most successful people, they still have coach. We all need someone to be coached every day. So as a matter of, whether it's they are our friends or we are part of the same group, we all are here. We need to, if we want to level up, we want to get to the next level, we need to have a coach. We need somebody positive who inspires us. So at the end of the show, I would like to finish our show with a great poem from a Persian poet from 13th century. His name was Sadi. I believe this is the poem that can relate to these days because we all are humans and we all are connected, and I'm so grateful that this is a pandemic and it's not an endemic. Imagine if this was just happening to a culture or to a group of people or race, how horrible this would have been. But now I see this pandemic actually is an awakening time for humans to understand that no matter how much rich you are or how much money or education you have, we all are vulnerable when it comes to something like this. And this is the time that everybody is out there to help each other. Even the countries are helping each other. From my country's point of view, I can see that they are stuck at home. They are truly stuck because of the corruption in the government and all the other things that's happening back there. They haven't even come out of home and they don't even know what's going on, and there is not many things available to them. But I would like to point out that we all are humans, and no matter what, I'm sure we can survive this, and we can show the world that Not only we survive, we will thrive after this. And it's only the smart one and the wise people will find this time to educate themselves, learn ways to, get the skills that makes you recession-proof or completely financially free, that no matter what's going to happen to you. And now the poem. It says, the sons of Adam are limbs of each other, having been created of one essence. When the calamity of time affects one limb, the other limbs cannot remain at rest. If you have no sympathy for the troubles of others, you are unworthy to be called the name of human. So thanks again for watching today. We really appreciate your time, and we would love to hear from you, your opinion. Please put your comments here, and if you believe this episode can help someone who is at the moment experiencing anxiety or fear, please gently tag them on this episode or send a link to them. You never know, maybe with this small act you make someone's life better and make their day better. So until next episode, have a happy, healthy, wealthy life.
Great advice there from Helia. And look, it doesn't matter if we have got our loved ones, we're all human, we all like to have our own personal space. So I think it's important you find your own personal space in your house or in your garden. Maybe some of you've got greenhouses, whatever. But I think that is really, really important to keep your own self-esteem running, that own personal space. I did like how Gerard said earlier, how he goes running, and that clears his mind and gives him his own personal space there. So what are you doing? Because I really do think it makes you healthier on the inside. Talking about health, we always talk about business health, and a business's health really is driven by its marketing. Look, in these tough times, it's not the time to be stop marketing. We know that. We know that is the wrong thing to do. Lots of people do it. And unfortunately, when we come out of the other side of these crises, those businesses are no longer with us. So don't stop your marketing. We're going to talk to a very successful business person, Mr. Andrew Ford from Ford & Doonan. They've not only not stopped their marketing, they're actually increasing their marketing and looking for new marketing opportunities. This one is definitely worth listening to. One thing that strikes me as I've gone back through your journey and looked at some of your marketing as you've gone, is your continual attention to improving the quality, like down to your signage, down to your colours, down to the finish. There's a polish to everything you're doing, and it seems to be ingrained in your philosophies of how you approach.
It does, yeah, and the consistency of that brand too, that we hear referred to all the time, and that's so important that you don't just have we've got a logo, but let's change the colours of it today, for this advert, so people don't resonate. It doesn't leap off the page as being you, although it may have the same wording in it, just the font or whatever's different. So it's that consistency of delivery, and don't get tempted. We've never gone down the path at Ford & Doonan of advertising price. It's just been something we never did a long time ago, and we've clung to that despite many of our competitors plastering low prices. To me, that sets up the client's expectation that you're going to be the cheapest.
Yes.
Which you can't be the best and the cheapest. It just doesn't work. So
it doesn't work.
We prefer to be the best, and there might be a slight premium, not always, but slight premium. But best, we've learned that not to put... Different industries of course apply that.
But I'm smiling there because when you're saying about fonts and colours, and like I've dealt with Christian down there, and if you do something for Christian, it'll soon come back, that's not our font.
Yeah, that's right.
and that's not quite our colour. And like even you could be just a couple of shades out, but I'm really impressed at the precision and that attention to detail, and I think it really does, if you want to build a brand,
yes,
it has to be there.
And it does take time too, of course, to build a brand. So another little recommendation I'd make is that everyone gets a style guide done by a graphic designer, and it's not expensive. It's only a $200-300 exercise where they take your existing collateral, marketing collateral, logos, etc., and then create it into a style guide. So that consistency, when you place an advert or something, you do anything, you just send the style guide off, and it's got the colour of the font, type of font, the height and the balance, the proportions in the...
Yes.
So then you don't have to think about it again. They haven't followed it or they have followed it.
So $200-300, that's something just about every business owner could do.
Absolutely, it's just non-expensive. It's just finding a small graphic design firm, and
Yes.
many of those are online.
Yeah.
And you can get it back, and it's a very concise document. It's just got everything in there for a relatively small sum.
Have you found that in the industry over time, marketing has changed? Like different platforms, like back in the day when I was in construction, you know, if you went on TV, that was a pretty good gig to have. And that seems to be losing favour. And some people say, no, you've got to all be on social. Are you finding certain platforms work better than others?
Definitely. Well, what we call mass media being TV and radio, we consider them to be a branding mediums only.
So what do you mean by branding?
So that we get the brand name, and in our case we've got a jingle which has been fantastically powerful for us.
Yes.
Most people in Perth, WA almost, would be
able to do today.
they start singing it to you out of the blue. It's quite amazing.
Yeah.
So we look at those as call to action type advertising mediums where you place the TV and the phone's going to ring the next day. Those days have gone. I agree, they used to exist. So they're now just a branding exercise. In other words, that when clients go online, which most people do now, they find their supplier, our name will leap off the page because they've heard it before. They might not even remember where they heard it, but it's somewhere in the back of their head. Okay, and it puts you on the shopping list. Doesn't mean you're going to get the job necessarily, but you've got to be on the shopping list to get the job. So it might mean you're on the short list of 3 people that they contact, then get a quota or something like that.
So your strategy is to be seen, like you've broken your strategy into actual marketing and then to call to action.
Yes.
But your whole philosophy behind it is you might not remember where you've seen us, but you would have seen us.
Correct, and we also ask every client where they heard about us from, put that into our CRM database,
Yes.
so we can then review campaigns in that. And so many times that question's been asked where the people go, oh no, saw you everywhere, I heard about you everywhere. So they can't even pinpoint where they actually got us from
And
or
you're
heard
going,
about us.
fantastic.
Exactly, it doesn't help what you put into the CRM.
No.
But the point being that, we're just across a lot of mediums. But as we touched on earlier, it's getting harder and harder to do as more mediums pop up that the advertising dollar's got to be spread across.
Yeah. So for a business owner that's looking, that's maybe stuck on marketing, maybe going, what should I look at first? Do you have any matrix? Do you have a system that you go through? Do you whiteboard stuff? What would you say?
Yeah, definitely some sort of brainstorming type exercise on a whiteboard is a great idea. So you've got to identify who your clients are. That's the most important thing, is to know who your clients are, the demographic, male, female, age groups, that sort of thing. Because that's the beauty of social, of course, is you can target very easily your target client. You're not wasting the time like TV hitting children or something when you've got an upmarket Mercedes to sell. They're not going to be the buyer, obviously. So work out who your client is, and then what style of advertising is likely to appeal to them, depending particularly on their age and or gender. There's going to be certain platforms, and of course we know with social media you can put a lookalike audience in of existing customers into there, and that will then help narrow that area of where you're targeting.
It's absolutely fascinating stuff when it comes to marketing. Look, I'm sure there's people out there, look, if you want to ask Andrew a question, just write to us at info@worthington.com or go direct to Andrew, we'll put your details underneath. Now, one thing you do, we always mention it because you are a mentor and a business consultant to many business owners around Perth, so if they want to get in contact with you, we'll put your details under there, and you're very happy to help people, aren't you?
Absolutely. Thanks,
Fantastic.
Michael.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew, for that advice. I'm always a firm believer in marketing. Even in the 2008, when things were also bad in the economy, I also increased my marketing. When we got out to the other side, I was ahead of all the other companies, meaning that I had to spend so much more money to get where I was. So do not stop with marketing. The next interesting segment is where I ask our guest speakers a question and they have to answer in 60 seconds. And it's unprepared. The question we ask is, what advice do you have for startups?
Starting a business is a difficult thing. Don't start it up if you're not passionate about your product or service. You need to have passion and a real desire to make it work. And always take advice, but then sift through the advice to see what resonates with you, to be clear in the direction you're choosing to go.
Well, I know a startup having a lot of pressure on them because they try to do everything themselves. Well, there was a time that I was even a cleaner, the admin, everything, the CEO of my company, and that's, I understand, it's a big task. But having a business coach is the first thing that somebody can do. It's a favor to yourself and others. Have a coach. And the second big thing you can do as a startup, or the message that I have for you, is definitely follow your passion. Don't jump from one shiny product to another shiny product. Stick to what your message is and do your best in that line.
Educate, educate, educate. Make sure you've got as much knowledge as you can about what you're going into, rather than just stumbling in blindly and thinking that things are going to happen. I've come across quite a few other people who have been in that sort of situation where they've just gone in, not done their training, not learnt about how to run their business, and ultimately failed. I'm 32 years down the track. I've made a lot of mistakes, don't get me wrong, but at least I've had that little bit of nous to get out there and understand how my business works to be able to make it work for me.
Have a plan. Have a plan, or have more than one plan. Have a short-term plan, a medium-term plan, and a long-term plan. And then make sure the plan is sensible, and then work to it. Take advice, make sure your plan is right, and then work to the plan.
Gerard, what I would say for the startup is that first they need to get their business plan and the forecast very right. A lot of startups I've dealt with, they are very enthusiastic about the business and the business idea. So what they do because of that is they launch straight into it. And secondly, I would highly encourage them to talk to their accountant to get their business structure of the startup right, because that really has an impact on the protecting them against for their personal assets, and also helping them with the tax planning and other things. So really get your business plans right, get onto the drawing board, don't just launch into it, talk to your accountant, get your business structures right.
Well, I really like Gerard's 60-second question, a challenge for our guests. Geez, he doesn't give them any time. He just puts them right under the pump and asks them a question. You know, they often say that success leaves clues, and I think you can see the successful people and the commonality and how they answer Gerard's question. It's really, really interesting. Now, a lot of you have been writing in. We've done a couple of special shows now on the government incentives, and we've had Nitin from the tax store in Osborne Park in to answer that. But we thought it'd be interesting to go to an actual business owner themselves and see how they're incorporating it into their business, so not only they can keep the business flowing, but they can actually retain their staff as well. So I thought it'd be really interesting to have a chat one-on-one with them, how they're using the government incentives inside their business so it benefits them, and hopefully it'll benefit you. Here he is, Mr. Peter McLernon. Good morning, Peter.
Morning, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, coronavirus is amongst us.
Yeah.
It is a problem.
Certainly is.
But as a business owner, you've studied the government incentive packages and support packages and managed to work through these, not only to keep the business going, but to keep the staff in place as well. Could you just explain a little bit how you've managed to use these to help your business?
Sure, yeah. Well, the first thing is that March for us was not a bad month, you know. I suppose some of the traditional customers were replaced by people buying desks, chairs and whiteboards and so on, monitor arms, things like that to set up a home office. So that became, you know, a much bigger part of our business. And we actually worked our marketing towards that as well during the month. So instead of sending out EDM emails once a week, we started doing them once a day. We've got quite a big customer base that we've built up over many years in WA. So we sent out, for example, packages for home office. So electronic sit-stand desk, a nice chair, a monitor arm and so on, and made a special price. And we've also, we introduced at the beginning of the month free delivery. So anybody makes a purchase on our website over $300, it's free delivery. So a combination of free delivery and changing our marketing towards where we saw new opportunities. That's worked for us well in March.
It's interesting, sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but you're saying your marketing. So you didn't decrease your marketing, you just changed it slightly.
Yeah. I think one of the first mistakes people make is because it's an easy target. You know, it's easy to reduce your marketing. So we didn't increase marketing, but we didn't decrease. We kept the same budget. I think maybe some others dropped their budgets because we found, for example, on AdWords that our advertising became cheaper, which means there's less people competing for our keywords, you know. So, so March, you know, the combination of free deliveries and looking at the new opportunities meant that March for us was not a bad month, you know. And during the month there were quite a few government incentives that were announced. I think the state ones, I couldn't see much benefit in the state, the ones that the state government announced. Probably payroll tax, which has been a bugbear of mine for years, should have actually been totally cancelled, but what they've done is just reduce payroll tax for a certain number of businesses for 3 months or whatever. You know, they should have had the opportunity to wipe it out completely. There's a tax on employment, really. But anyway, that's another subject. So there's not much there in the state government packages. But the federal government's been doing really well for business, as far as I'm concerned anyway. First thing was the small tax package. I think it was about $20,000. And then there was, the next one was $100,000 based around your tax and so on, you know, submitting your tax returns.
This was the GST returns?
That's right, yeah.
And then they're going to give you money back?
Yeah, the two initial ones. So I think the total value there is about $120,000, which we will benefit from because we fit into that size and type of business and so on, employees. And then the next one was the $1,500 per employee over 6 months, reimbursement based on continuing to pay employees. So it's actually a benefit for the employee, but it comes through the employer and then it's passed on to the employee, with the employer having the option to make up the difference in the salary between the $1,500 and the original salary. Yeah.
So the $1,500, just to make it clear for people, it doesn't actually go in your pocket.
No.
You actually have to pass that on, but it subsidises whatever wages you've got.
Yeah, it's a great idea because it means you continue to employ people. You have to submit your PAYG and demonstrate that you are still employing those people, and then you're reimbursed $1,500. Reimburse is a funny way to put it, but the government pays $1,500 for every employee on your books, and you pass it on to your employees, and then you add on top of that the difference to make up their normal salary. That's optional.
Has that enabled you to keep the employees going where otherwise you might have got a little bit on shaky ground there?
Well, at the moment, you know, we're yet to see. It's a month-by-month thing, and it depends on how long it lasts. But we're anticipating up to 6 months. That's probably including some recovery time. So, you know, things aren't just going to turn around as soon as we open the doors again. So let's say it's a couple of months. You know, 3 months of lockdown and then maybe 3 months of recovery to get back to some kind of normalcy, you know. So let's say it's a 6-month process. What I've done is I've talked about budgeting and cash flow in the past, and my cash flow, you know, super Excel spreadsheet. What I've done is gone forward 6 months using those same principles, and I've forecast these government incentives as income. I've worked a percentage of our normal turnover, which I can see can get down to maybe 30 or 40% of our normal turnover average. And with that income, with the incentives that I'm talking about built in there, I can see that we'll be okay for the 6-month period. That's with a drop down to 30% of normal turnover, 30 to 40% of normal turnover.
So your advice for people is keep your marketing, just see if you can change it to take opportunities.
Yeah.
And make sure you access these government incentives.
Absolutely, yeah. That'd be the two major actions to take at the moment. We're yet to see what the demand's going to be month to month. This month will be more of a test because, you know, March you have a build-up. In our business, it's like a 3-month cycle. Quotes, orders, invoices. You know, it works like that. So during March, we're still having a flow through of, say, January, February quotes and orders turning into invoices, you know. So this month, one of those months will drop off. So we'll have less income coming from previous activity. And as activity drops month to month, your month going further out drops because you've got less quotes in the system, less orders in the system. We're still getting through some substantial orders, some of them to do with you know, for example, temporary medical facilities and so on, you know, that type of thing. There's always someone busy in a crisis, you know. Usually it's the lawyers and the accountants. In this case, it's the medical industry, you know. So we're still, you know, getting some larger orders through, and then we're getting a much higher flow through of online orders, people buying from home, particularly with our free delivery. Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. I think it's so important to be informed. And for a business owner to explain how he uses it is so much more practical than somebody explaining in front of TV how the incentives works. So thank you, Peter. In this time, I think we have to think about how we really do things. And team building is so important at this stage. I think the morale is so low of a lot of companies, and they had to lay off staff or put them on leave. I think this is a time as well for you to think how we can still do team building. And team building don't have to be to go and play temp bowling. And that's why we thought it would be a good idea to speak to Alex, that is an expert in team building. She worked worldwide with teams, and she got a really good message on team building.
Well, I'm with Alex again from The Mentoring Effect. Team builder extraordinaire. They bring you into companies to fix all their problems, Alex.
Yeah, exactly. But I think what is important, like what is the problem? What is the issue? I think that's always a big question. And yeah, I think a lot of companies or a lot of leaders, you know, when you have a team of 50 people, you don't really know what is the real problem, real issue in your team. You just know that the team is not working together. Because teamwork is not, you know, putting people into the office. That's not teamwork. That's just a bunch of people in the room. And this is what I'm trying to always explain. It's like, it's not about that. You need to have a few different roles. You need to have a little bit, you know, different people there. A leader, facilitator has to be someone who will take, you know, all skills of the members of the team and utilize them, and just to be sure they're all used, you know, correct way. That means that's probably the start.
So for someone looking, a business owner looking, and they've got a few staff and think, I wouldn't mind doing some of this team building. Is it kind of a process that you go through that could perhaps give them a few hints or tips that they could do it themselves or help them out? Yeah,
definitely. I think first thing is to really realize what is the problem in your company. Sometimes organization, sometimes it can be just a CRM system, you know, or system you're using inside of the company, and processes, or something very technical, let's say. You can probably sort it out with IT, you know, bring any IT and probably just give training to people. But if there is something deeper and you have feeling that people talking bad things about each other and they don't really work together, or they work in small groups, that means there's a few different issues. And the first major issue I would say is communication. But you can always analyze. You can give to people some questionnaires. We usually do like a surveys, you know, at the beginning.
I was going to say, in that instance, when you know there's something going on in your company, do you find that more times than not, it's better that an outsider does the digging on that, because people are a bit reluctant to talk to the boss, because I'm not going to tell the boss I don't like that person.
Definitely. That's definitely great when you can have actually someone from outside and come in and do some diagnostic analysis and really talk to people a little bit different way, and just kind of open the conversation about the real issues. But also as a leader, you probably know that one person in the team is the person that will always talk to you. And you know, but you just need to be aware. Sometimes you can't trust also everything. That means you just really need to build up that awareness, what kind of people you have in your team, and what kind of conversation you can have. And I think that's the decision, you know, that it should be made. That are you going to take someone from outside, or are you using
So when you analyse the actual problem, is that then setting the stage of what you're going to do next in your process? Yeah,
basically next step, when you know what is the problem, basically you just decide how you're going to measure that. And that's why we're using surveys or some kind of analysis, you know, like what is the problem? It's, I don't know, less emails or some numbers. You can always measure everything, you know.
Yes.
I think we know. And when you decide how you're going to measure that, that's very important. And after that, as a third step, we think about fun activities. Because we don't want to bore anyone on the trainings.
Because some people think, oh, team building, we'll all sit around here and we'll make little plans. But you send them out and about and do crazy stuff.
Yeah, because I think it's boring to sit. Everybody's doing workshops, trainings, and you sit in the room for 6 hours. You know, you just have food between that and a little talk with everyone when it's the break.
Yes.
And I think we are over it. We can learn different way. We can learn online, what is great, but we can learn as a fun and with a team all together. Yeah. And I think that's very important.
Fantastic. And concluding, so someone looking at this, what makes a successful team building activity or implementation?
when you see that people really have fun and they really learn, or they take the task very seriously, and you can see the outcome, that actually you can measure, you can see what people doing, you can see their strengths. And I think when you can analyze their strengths, weaknesses, or what is the problem, or how you can help them, that's the major outcome you want. Because after that, basically the last step is the reporting that we're trying to do. And it's very important for leaders and organization, because sometimes you find out like, oh, this person is actually on the wrong spot. Like they're doing the job, that is actually their weakness. And you don't want to really touch and push someone and say like, oh, work on your weaknesses. No, you want people to work on their strengths. That's why we are different. That's why we are individuals, you know, with other strengths.
Maximize and use the strengths to your best ability.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Absolutely fantastic. Alex from The Mentor Effect, it's been fantastic having you on the show again.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was a great interview I managed to do with Alex there from the mentoring group about team building. I actually did that before social distancing came in, so don't send me a heap of messages saying, Michael, what are you doing? Because that was filmed early. But what great messages she had on team building and keeping that morale up. Now, one of the things that I think is coming up now is Facebook, where everyone's getting a bit more time. They're at home, you know, there's social distancing, they're not going out as much, and they're getting on Facebook and doing all sorts of stuff. So we thought we'd get Ivor back in and talking about how important Facebook is regarding pictures, messages, whatever you're doing on there, because it really does affect your image. Some great information here from Ivor Kearney from DigiFlex Solutions.
Hey everybody, welcome back. What I'd like to talk to you today is a few business tips with your Facebook page. One being the importance of your image. Now, a lot of companies have the logo as in that section. I would prefer if you have your personal picture. If you're a business like an accountancy firm or lawyer's firm or delivering a high quality service, you should probably get a professional headshot with a suit and tie at least. If you're more in the gym environment, or you're selling supplements, or maybe you have a business where it's more of a personal one-on-one, potentially tone your dress down slightly. But it's always better to have that high quality image there that gives them the line of trust. So when they come actually see you, they know who you are. You don't want to have a professional service with offering a high ticket service along with you in a t-shirt on the beach. It just doesn't work out. People want to see a professional. They will research you no matter what you think they do. They will pull up your name, they will check you out, social proof. That goes to your standard images within your Facebook page. We all love those one nights out and another party where the tie's around your head and so on. Strip out all the images that is not relevant to your business and keep it business specific. Take social proof with clients. If you can, add them in. Anything relevant to your avatar, put that on your page. Anything else, keep it out, and also keep your personal profile clean, because people will go to your business profile, then they'll jump over to your personal profile. And if 1 minute you're in a suit and tie, and the next minute you're on a beach in Bali with 25,000 people having a party, it's probably not going to convert very well. The other thing is the about section of your page. And it's very important that you go through that section. If you don't know where it is, it's on the left-hand side on your page, about 2/3 of the way down. Go in there, update all your links to your websites. If you've got LinkedIn, make sure it all links across to your other pages, your other forums. Test it out, because people will, like I said, go and search those forums. They will figure out where you are, because sometimes, even though you've got a business Facebook page, the majority of your people are on LinkedIn. They will be on LinkedIn, they will go from LinkedIn back to Facebook. So it all needs to be nice and clean and driven towards your avatar. Also within your about section, make it about how you're going to help the people. What you can give them, some results, some testimonials if you can, or what you can do for them. It's great saying how good you are and all your qualifications and what you've done, but unless you can give them some social proof on how you can help them better their business, probably not going to convert to a lead. That whole about section is very important. Your mobile number needs to be in there. Like I said, your email address, your website, your LinkedIn details, everything that is about you that gives them an opportunity to go to the next level, to figure out that you are a fit for them. So that is a little tip for you. Go in there tonight, spend an hour, putting some new images out, remove some of the old images, put them somewhere else. They're great to have. And I shall see you soon on the next episode.
Thank you, Ivor, for that message. And now we have the time, like Michael said, to sit and just work on that image and work on your Facebook profiles. The next guest is Nitin from the tax store in Osborne Park. You might have seen Nitin on some of your previous shows. He just got a way to explain something so easily that you can understand it and implement it. And today he's going to talk about cash flow. Have a listen.
Well, here we are with Nitin from the tax store in Osborne Park. How are you, Nitin?
Well, I'm fine, Michael.
Here we are practicing social distancing. Yes. You're in one studio, I'm in the other. But Nitin, it's great for you to come in. I think at this point in time, and probably for any point in time in business, it's all about cash flow.
Well, absolutely, Michael. Look, cash is very important. Cash is actually the life and blood of a business. Even in the best of times, we have said that cash is king. More so in these times when everyone's cash flow has been hit really hard. You people talk about 1 minute millionaire. Now, no one has ever become a millionaire without watching their cash flow, and it's really important in these times, Michael. So obviously today I want to give some practical tips to business owners in terms of how they can watch their cash flow in these times. Now, my first tip is obviously get onto the drawing board and do your cash flow projections and budgets and revise them. Now, it might look like a very cliched advice that get your cash flow and get your budgets, do them up again. But look, the fact is this, that you can never improve what you cannot measure. So really you need to start measuring your cash flow, and the best measure is to get onto the drawing board and redraw your cash flow forecast and your budgets with the new realities in mind. And my suggestion there would be is preferably do it yourself. Don't leave it to an accountant and consultants. You know your business a lot better. But if for some time either you are time poor or you need some help or you don't understand the numbers, then let's use help from a consultant. Now, once you have redrawn your budgets and you know how much cash flow you need, look at the areas where your cash is tied up. It might be tied up in debtors. You might have a lot of debtors you are not able to collect because their cash flow is hit. In such situations, there are lenders out there who will be able to give you finance or accommodation on your debtors, or maybe purchase your debtors at a discount, and that can free up a good bit of cash flow for you. Go back to your suppliers, really negotiate your payment terms, see if you can defer payment to your suppliers and negotiate a more favorable arrangements from them. If you are collecting GST and you have to remit GST to ATO through BAS, you can negotiate with the tax office. They are being very flexible these days. They will be happy to help in terms of deferring your payments so you can use that cash for a while in the business.
Nitin, I don't mean to interrupt you there, but you said something really interesting about organisations that will finance debt and even buy debt. And this thing with the tax office helping you with your GST payments, could you just explain what's the best way of approaching the tax office if you are struggling in that regard?
Look, the best way of approaching is you can give the tax office a call yourself, or you can talk to your accountant, or the accountant can negotiate on your behalf. But let's say you will have 20,000 GST to pay that you have collected to the ATO. They will be happy to defer it for next few months, given the current situation. Mm-hmm. So that can be a fair bit of help. If you still think you need a bit more accommodation in the business with your cash flow, this is where this $250,000 package from the banks is. It is there for your working capital needs, which you can take advantage of. And look, finally, Michael, what I would like to say is that the businesses also need to find new ways of generating revenue, because look, the fact is this, I mean, you can do whatever to find extra cash flow, but eventually you are going to be running out of your own cash, or you're going to be running out of borrowed cash. So you need to start finding alternate means of generating revenue. Either you are using it to it online, or you are doing door deliveries. You know your business better, but you will need to come up with the new solutions of finding the ways of generating new revenues as well.
Well, what an absolutely fantastic show. Geez, it's been busy in the studios. We've been swapping places as the video's been playing, so we keep our social distancing rules going on. Nitin there with Cashflow, and he makes me smile because one of his favourite sayings, if you don't manage cash flow, you'll run out of your own cash, and pretty quickly you're going to run out of the bank's cash also. So Nitin really does know how to hit the nail on the head, so to speak. And if you want any accounting advice, look, we really advise, especially government incentives, contact Nitin. It's full details underneath. I just want to thank everybody for joining in, and keep those questions coming, keep your comments coming. We absolutely love them. I want to thank all our guests that have made the effort to come in. It's difficult times and very challenging, and they're still making the effort to come forward and share their knowledge and their advice with you. I really, really do appreciate it. Now, it's the end of the show, and as we always go out with our show, it's our favourite little segment, our golf tip with Peter Hopkins out there at Wheelback Golf Club, and this week he's going to show you how to select the best driver for you.
Welcome to this week's tip, brought to you by Top Tracer, your personal golf coach. This week we're going to look at how do we decide which driver to use, which one's going to go further, which one's going to go longer. We can use Top Tracer as our personal club fitter, helping you hit it straight down the middle. This week's tip brought to you by Top Tracer, your personal golf coach. This week we're going to look at using Top Tracer as our club fitting guide. And most important part that we're looking for is how far we hit our driver. By using the information that we're going to get from Top Tracer, it tells us how far the ball goes and also what speed the ball's going off at, and we'll be able to try one or two clubs against each other and see what the difference is on that. Okay, so the first driver we're trying out today, Srixon, with a stiff shaft in it. And then I'm going to compare that to another Srixon, but with a regular shaft in it. Second hit, let's see how we go. Okay, so let's try the other club now and see what difference we get. So if you're not happy with your current driver, come down to Whaleback, grab a couple of drivers, come out on the Top Tracer range and hit some shots, and you'll soon see which driver suits your swing the best so that you can hit it straight down the middle.